What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Court of Heaven and Hell podcast. I'm Lauren, aka Heaven.
And I'm Ellie. I'm also known as Hel.
And if you don't already know, we are a book podcast that focuses on different romantasy series and novels, currently focusing on the Lightlark series. And today we will be covering Nightbane by Alex Aster. The episode will include our ratings, review, thoughts about the book. We will start with a spoiler-free discussion and our ratings before we fully dive in with our spoiler-inclusive discussion.
Please see our show notes for content and trigger warnings. We are an explicit podcast for adults. Check out our past episodes. We have a ton of episodes out about other romantasy books, including Powerless and the Sarah J. Maas universe. Lastly, take some time to rate and review us, or if you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and let us know your thoughts in the comment.
All right, guys, now let's go ahead and get into a basic summary of Nightbane. Nightbane is the highly anticipated sequel to the popular young adult novel Lightlark. Picking up where we left off, the curse is broken, and Isla has to step up as the ruler for her people who barely know her, while still reeling from multiple betrayals. Reluctantly stepping up to rule, it isn't easy for Isla, and things take a turn for the worse when a vision of the future forces her to confront her past. In the end, Isla will have to make a difficult decision, deciding the fate of the world and, subsequently, her heart. The third book, Skyshade, was announced last week and will be coming out in November of this year.
Yes, literally was announced like 2 days ago. So it's very new news
As
in
the
the
time
book
of us
world.
recording 2 days ago.
Yes, true. Like a week from when y'all are listening to this. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's exciting. I always love having another book to look forward to.
Yeah, no, me too.
Add that to my list. And yes, we will definitely be covering that on the podcast as well
Yeah.
when it comes out.
Let's just go ahead and start off with how we rated the books and some of our spoiler-free thoughts on the matter. I definitely think that this book was a pretty decent step up from the first book. So I gave it a 4.25. I might say that it could be closer to even a 4. Like I said, I feel like the idea that, like, keeping in mind how much I really was met about the last book, I think that that gave me, like, a little bit of a boost because I was like, "Oh, okay, at least I was engaged and interested in what was going on from the beginning." So, definitely a step up. I did feel a little bit more connected to the characters because of, like, where we left off in Lightlark and the setup. I felt, like I said, from the beginning, I was a little bit more invested in the story. But, yeah, definitely 4.25, 4 stars even, I think, is a good rating area.
For me, I'm going to give it a 4.2. So basically the same, just a point 0.5 difference. So I do think that Nightbane was better than Lightlark. I don't know how better it was though for me
Mhm.
because there was some parts in the book that I really enjoyed and I was like reading really quickly to get to those certain parts in the book. But those parts of the book were like really the only parts that I actually was looking forward to.
Right.
So that's probably why it's not in my top favorite books ever. I just still am having a hard time with liking characters and having a reader connection to them. But with that being said, I will still be reading the third book. Maybe the third book's going to be amazing. It does seem like the books are getting better as time goes on. And I do think that the author is probably taking some criticisms into thought, and she's just gonna get better every time she writes another book. So I'm excited about it, but Nightwing was okay, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I would say it's good. It's not great. It's not the most amazing thing I've ever read. It's good. It was entertaining. It kept me engaged. I like the way that she kinda, like, set up the story without giving too much. You definitely get a different, I don't know, based off of the last book, it goes back and forth between time periods. So we're starting to get a lot of the gaps filled in from Lightlark questions that we might have, and I actually did enjoy the way that she wrote it. Like I said, it definitely was a big step up as far as, like, character connection for me. And so, yes, it was good. It was good. It was better than Lightlark. It was a step up, and I think that for any new author, getting better is always a good goal to achieve, and like Ellie said, I am, in a sense, looking forward to the next book. I'm not, like, "Oh my gosh, there's a few more books that I'm a little bit more excited about coming that I know that are coming out a little bit towards the end of this year or later in this year. But it's good. And like you said, it's always good to have more books to want to add to the collection, want to read. I'm going to get it. I'm going to buy it. So, yeah, definitely keep your eyes out for what we think about that. And I hope it gets even better. I hope it keeps inclining.
Me too. I'm hoping it by the title, it might be about another character a little bit more
Not my favorite character.
potentially. I'm hoping it's
Yeah.
gonna be a little bit more about the side characters because I like the side characters more than I like the main character.
Side characters are what's making this book go round for me.
Straight up.
I'm like way more invested in a lot of the side characters. But yeah, I do want to see where the story goes. I'm invested enough to be honest and be like, I do want to know what happened to these people. I want to know where this is going, especially after the events of Nightbane. It's like, okay, what's going to happen next? And I feel like that's something that this author is actually really good at, is leaving you in a place where when you're done reading, you're at least like, I need to know what happens next. And so there's a testament to that because we all know how we felt and how I felt about the first book. As tough as it was for me to get to the end is literally what kept me going in this series. So I think she is really good at writing those kind of like, not even necessarily twists, but just compelling endings that keep you
Mhm.
wanting to know what's going to happen going forward in the stories. So if you haven't read it and you're thinking about reading Nightbane, if maybe the first book wasn't your favorite and you were debating about whether you were going to continue the series or not, we would definitely say at least give it a shot. We think that the second, or at least I think the second book made it worth my time for reading the first book, even though it wasn't my favorite. So the story gets good and you get a lot of questions answered because of the way Lightlark was written with that big secret going on the whole time. It
Mhm.
does feel good to get a lot of those answers and to find out a lot about what was going on because that's just like the whole thing after the plot twist of the last book. It's kind of like, I needed to know. So you definitely get that. So give it a shot. And yes, if you have not read it and you don't want any spoilers, then now is the time for you guys to turn off the episode, come back and join us next week. We'll be talking about A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. And if you have read it and you just want to hear us talk about it and hear more about what we thought, then go on and keep listening.
Yay. Now we could talk.
I know. Now we can be
Oh,
free as a
I was
bird.
like,
So now that we can be free with our thoughts and give a little more insight, what did you like about the book?
I have quite a list of what I liked throughout the book, which yay,
Yeah.
love that. My favorite part of the book was definitely seeing the flashbacks.
Yeah.
The flashbacks were my favorite moment. I do like the aspect that because of the flashbacks, we were able to learn with Isla her memories. I liked that because okay, like she doesn't remember shit. I obviously don't know what the fuck is happening. I'm the reader. And I'm like, okay, I'm learning with her, which I thought was a cool way of exposing all the information about her past with Grimm.
Right.
And I just oh my god, again, like I said this in the spoiler-free section, but I just wanted the fucking before chapters. Like, I just wanted that. I didn't give
Yeah.
a fuck about what was happening.
Yeah, that's fair. There was definitely a point where I started realizing I was really looking forward to and trying to get to the before chapters, especially as we went like further and further into the book and they started becoming more frequent. I was like, okay, okay. Now, that being said, I did still really like some of the stuff that was going on in the present day. I'll talk about that. But yeah, definitely agree with you there about anticipating and looking forward to the before
Mhm.
chapters more than anything, especially when it came to the romance, because yeah.
Yes. I will say the banter from Grimm was there. It
Mhm,
was there. I will talk about my favorite scenes a little bit later because there are a few. But I was like, okay, like I get it. I get why like people love Grimm so much.
mhm. Yeah,
He was saying a lot of stuff that I was like, oh, oh,
for sure, yeah, especially when you put him on a direct parallel to Oro, who's
boring,
yeah, that's the
bland,
word for it, bland,
blonde.
dude. It's just I don't know. Every time he was talking to her, every time I was like, "Dude, why are you fumbling the bag?" It almost made me be like, "Is something else going on here?" I think I said something to you at one point because I was like, "Is there a secret that he knows that we don't know?" Like the first book where he's trying not to get too close to her because it doesn't make any sense. You guys are already in love with each other. You already did this will they, won't they slow burn in the first book. Why are you saying that you want to be with her, but pulling away at the same time? It just didn't quite, I don't know. I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
I didn't get it either. Yeah, not an Oro girly.
Yeah.
Sorry if you are, but I'm
He
not.
didn't
Sorry.
like him. I still like him. I still like him as much as I liked him in the first book. I just don't like him for Isla. It just, the chemistry, the connection, it's not there. I think Oro's a good guy. I really liked Oro's character. I think he's like, he's giving Kale. It's giving, you're fine, but you're just
Yeah.
not the guy.
Yeah, that's actually a really good comparison. He's the Kale of this book, if you
If
know. Oh my gosh. Oh, also, in Nightbane, I really like learning more about Cleo.
Yeah, I like Cleo.
I like Cleo. Her backstory with her having a son who died is so sad. I feel bad for her. I really hope she has a bigger part in the next book because I want to learn about her. Like, I would read a book about Cleo. I'd rather read a book about Cleo
Yeah,
than anyone else beyond
I feel that.
her and Azul. Like, I would read a
Oh,
novella about
I
either
love
or.
Azul.
But yeah, I really liked getting to know a little bit more about her.
Mhm. Yeah, even from the first book, she was more of a standout character for me. I like
Mhm.
her vibe, or her style, her look, but also just I kind of like a bitchy, badass woman who's not gonna apologize for who the fuck she
Same.
is. She's a leader. Like I said in the last episode, she's not always the nicest, but we don't always have to be nice. Sometimes you just fucking get shit done, and she's got tough decisions to make, and she makes them. She's trying to do what's best for her people, and she doesn't really care how it's gonna affect other people or if it hurts their feelings or anything like that, and I'm kind of here for it. She's not, like,
Same.
unnecessarily mean or, to me, evil. She does get a little bit, like, back and forth with Isla, but she's looking at Isla like, "You're this inexperienced girl who's clearly doesn't understand the way of the world, and I'm a grown-ass woman. I've been around for centuries. Like, I've got a freaking continent or court or whatever you wanna call it to take care of. I've had tragedy in my own life. Like, I got my own shit going on. I'm not here to entertain you and be nice to you and baby you, and I'm here for it." I really like Cleo. I liked her in the first book. She was mean, but yeah,
She was interesting.
at
She has
least
a very interesting vibe.
yeah.
Also, I think it was in this book that we learned that she's bi.
Oh, see,
Am
I
I
don't even
okay?
remember that, but I'm here for it.
Me
You
too.
go,
I'm like,
girl.
not as liking the only 2 characters who aren't, like,
Oh,
the most basic.
that's a good point,
Like,
actually. Why do we like the bitchy? I like, it's almost like Azul and Cleo are like opposites. Literally, like he's the sky, she's the moon, and I don't know, she's bitchy, but she just owns her shit, and he's like a super
mhm,
stand-up good guy, but he just is fly. I don't know. I like both of them, but for different reasons. Definitely
mhm.
stand out characters in these books. Even though I did like a lot of the side characters that were introduced in this book, and I like them a lot more than the main characters, but I would very much say they're side characters because I couldn't even tell you their names. I couldn't even tell you, like,
Dude, it's the
who they
way
are. I just know what they did.
I literally just remembered her familiar
Oh,
thing.
it's in my notes. Yeah, I loved it. I loved Lynx.
All that, and "Is was this in this book?" And I was like, "Wait." I had a moment that I was like, "Oh, yes."
Lynx, I loved Lynx actually. Lynx was pretty badass. And the fact that Lynx was like not fucking with her really, I was like, I feel the
Same.
same way.
I thought it was cute that Lynx was her mom's too.
Yeah, that was like such
That's
a sweet story.
cute.
I liked getting Isla's parents' backstory. I liked getting Cleo's backstory. I liked pretty much Grimm's backstory. I liked learning about every single person except for Isla. I didn't even not like learning about Isla. She's got like a very interesting life, but it's more like interesting about what is going on around her and not so much like
Yeah,
her. But also, like, she's basically locked in a fucking tower and forced to train to do this one thing for her
that's
entire
true.
life. So, like, I'm not gonna be too hard on her, but she definitely, like, she's done some growing, but she's got a little bit more to go. But anyways, again, this is supposed to be what we love about this book. So, talking about the world building and all of that, I did really like that we got more of that. I actually like the world building. It's a lot, but especially because it's the same thing as the first book where she throws it at you. Like, there's no, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know why. Because I've read books where you just are reading it and you're picking it up, but for some reason in this book, it's like casually kind of like thrown at you. I don't know how to explain it, but there's a lot of things that you learn, like, about, like, the wildlings that were, like, banished earlier, and then they went and they've been living on Lightlark, and they've grown into these other things. Like, I really liked, and I should have looked up the names, but cannot for the life of me remember her name, but the lady who, like, Isla has to go confront to try to get her to fight with them, and she's, like, the giant serpent.
Mhm.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's the
Yeah.
creator of Skyshade. So, or, like, a creature like her. Like, I really liked that whole, like, moment and that back and forth between her and Isla where she was like, "I'm not giving in to you just because you're the leader. Like, I've been out here on my own, like, doing my shit. Like, where were you years ago when we got banished and, like, all of this stuff?" And she's, "I could literally smite you. You don't even know who I am." They were running on the other side of the town, and they were not great. They were messed up. They were killing families and children and shit like that. But I really liked that kinda interaction and vibe and, like, the other things that are in this world. Like, even Isla, when she had to go get links and she had to complete this test and find the animal that was gonna speak to her and all of this stuff, I thought that was cool. There's a lot of cool elements to this world, to the series, and the way that they're all put together is a little bit, like, all over the place, which is unfortunate because there are some really cool aspects to the story. And then there's some stuff that's thrown in there that's cool, but it's maybe you should have introduced this in a later book, or maybe we should have, I don't know, spent more time focusing on this because I still have a lot of questions about the Starling girl who's got the powers of a leader, but she's not a leader. But I felt like that was
Mhm.
like thrown in there. They were trying to hide it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a lot going on in this book between the flashbacks and then what was actually going on in the present. But a lot of that I really did enjoy. It was interesting. It kept me engaged at least. But like you said, definitely the backstory was the thing I was, like, the most, like, it was the part of the story that was the most, "This makes sense. This is in chronological order.
Yeah.
It's a story that, like, it just made sense." I don't know how to explain it. Every time we went back to the flashback, I was like, "Oh, I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly where we left
Mhm.
off, and I can follow along." Whereas, like, in the future or in the present rather, it was just a little all over the place.
Yeah, it was. Also gonna add really quick, what I liked about this book is I liked that basically her and Grimm didn't have any real contact for basically the whole book.
That's
It
true.
was, like, building up, like, the tension. You're just like, "Oh my god, I need him to come in.
Mhm.
I need him to come in." Even though they really do paint him as a terrible person. But
God.
this book
They
flaps it.
do, but they don't. Like, they do, but in a good way, like, in a morally gray way. But I don't even
Yeah.
know if it's morally gray because he's just an asshole, and the Nightbane people or Nightlings or whatever, they just have some fucked up customs and stuff going on over there. But low key, like you said, at least he's interesting. So, with that being said, obviously, a lot of these things, it's like a double-edged sword where you are really liking some things, but so what are some things that you didn't necessarily like about it?
Okay, we already mentioned that Oreo was so boring, but I couldn't. It just was so bland for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't doing it for me. I am someone who likes a little bit more in her men's.
Yeah.
I can't I can't do this guy. It wasn't for me. And you have brought this up so many times in text messages or in person when we're talking. But why does Isla have to literally beg him to touch her?
Mm-mm. I do
That's
not
why
like that.
that's why I'm like, maybe there is something else going on that we'll learn about. That's the only explanation I can think of. Like, maybe he somehow knows that her and Grimm are married. I don't know. Like, just
Yeah.
maybe he has like something that he's working past. He doesn't want to be intimate with someone. I don't know. But this whole book, I was just like,
Yeah.
bro, what's happening? But then Grimm's like over here with his flashbacks being like, who did this to you? And I'm like,
No,
this is
Grimm at first was, like, low key, like, I liked their whole relationship because at first he was, like, a dick. She did stab him, but then as he started to get into her, he was, like, really into her, and I'm here for that. Why is she begging you to touch her? Just be real with the girl, okay? If there's something going on, then tell her that. If you're struggling, just be real. Be honest with her because I don't understand why you're sitting here telling her that you love her and that you wanna be with her, but she has to beg you, literally beg you to touch her. I don't like that. And then I'm looking at Isla and I'm like, "Girl, I know you are young and you probably don't have a lot of experience, and the experience that you do have, you don't remember, which is unfortunate. But get up off your knees. Like, do not beg a man to just
Serious,
to love
someone
you or
else.
touch you. Just
Yeah,
there's, like you
don't do
said,
that.
there's other people out here for you, especially because the wildlings are supposed to be like, everybody talks about how gorgeous she
Gorgeous.
is. Like, they're supposed to be seductresses and like,
Mhm.
like one of the most beautiful groups of people on the island. And it's what, like, why are you begging this man? I'm pretty sure you could find anybody else. If he don't want you, that's okay, but just self-respect. Self-respect. It just made me really, really sad for her because I was just like, just tell her you don't want to be with her, dude. I can't, like you said, feel either something, there's a secret here that we don't know that we're not privy to of something else that's going
Mhm.
on, or they're better off as friends. And Oro just needs to go be the good, kind ruler of of the lightlings or whatever. And she needs to go back with Grem because, dude, the chemistry. And I feel like a little bit of that is Alex as the author almost trying to force us to have a favorite, to like the person that she wants us to like. You know what I mean? Because obviously, when we get the big reveal at the end, based off of that, they were gonna be together. Endgame was already decided before we even know the book. A
Mhm.
lot of 2 books are written for with the perspective of all authors obviously know where the story's going before we get there. This only makes sense if you're the person who has the knowledge. I don't necessarily intend to read these books again, but if I did, I would be curious to see how I felt reading it, actually knowing what's going on. Because I just feel that has to be her trying to steer us in one direction because I don't get it. I don't get it. It would have made so much more sense and been so much more of a true love triangle if Isla and Oro actually had chemistry. If they actually
Mhm.
if we were getting like the chemistry with Grimm in the past and then like the chemistry with Oro in the present, like that would actually be like oh shit, who do I want her to be with? Let's just, yeah, sure, Grimm's not doing the best shit and he's not the greatest guy, but like to other people. But as far as for her, not even a competition. Oro's not even in the ring.
I think tries to skew you one way because as we're learning more of her background with Graham, like her and Oro's relationship starts to suffer, and he's all, "I don't even recognize you, love," which I'm sorry,
Get with
I
it because this
can't.
is who I am.
I can't. I'm not into Oro.
Yeah. I don't dislike
I
him.
I liked him in the first book, which is funny. I thought they had way better chemistry in the first book because the first book was pretty much about them searching for fucking egg yolk the whole time.
Yeah.
And I felt like I got it. I can see it. But now like in this book, they're like in relationship pretty much.
Mhm.
I'm just like, I don't know, it's just not there for me anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's just really not.
I feel that. I really do because like I said, I do like him as a character. I don't dislike him. I'm not like, "Oh, I hate Oro." He didn't do anything that was like that.
Yeah.
It's not the Tamlin switch up. It's not, but it is just like I'm not invested in you. I hope you go off and live a happy life. I don't have any ill will towards you, but I also just don't care. I just don't care.
I
I
really
don't want her to be with you. I don't think that you guys have in-game kind of chemistry. I don't, it's to me, it's not even a love triangle anymore. Just like, all right, this this guy is just over
yeah.
here, and then is these two over here. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Ending also left a big question mark for that. We find out like two really, really important pieces of information at the end of the book that is okay. So basically, you don't even matter anymore. I hate to say it, but finding out that she basically has a death pact with Grimm and then finding out that they're already married is just you were just here to pass the time. You were just here to create division. There was really no way that this was ever going a different direction.
Yeah, I do think Orio's gonna be a big part of the next book, unfortunately. We get it. Orio's
Yeah.
like the freaking
I
Chad.
mean, his fucking like power is to tell when people are lying and not. Like he's a narc.
Oh god.
Sorry. Oh, I'm just kidding. But no, he literally whatever. Oro's whatever. He's cool or whatever to me. I like him enough to just not wish ill on him. I hope he's all right. I feel bad because I feel like he got his little heart broken. But also, did you though? Because to me, it didn't seem like you really cared that much about her. Like if I'm being 100% honest, it seems like you cared more about what she could do and like who she was in that aspect versus
Mhm.
like actually liking her. Because like you said, as soon as
Mhm.
she started switching up or remembering parts of her past and like, becoming a little bit of a different person, he kind of like wasn't into her like that or didn't like the changes that were happening. Did you ever really like her in the first place? Because Grimm also fucked up in a big way, dude. Grimm erasing her memory, that's a violation. That's bad. And then being in on it and working with the person who was actively working against her, like that's bad too. And no, this book is a kind of hot mess, bro. A
It is.
bit of a hot mess, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I had a hard time following the plot of this book for real. It was really difficult for me. I can't remember a lot of detail because it was all over the place. I will say also, for someone who read with audiobooks typically together with the book, it because there was no chapter numbers,
Yeah.
I it was hard for me to find my place after I finished a chapter on my audiobook and I would get home and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna, like, continue." I couldn't go, "Oh, let's see, like, where's chapter 13?" I would literally have to just guess and just, like, hope I was near the chapter, and then I would have to go on my Audible and look at the chapter to see if I'm even close to the chapter I need to be in.
Oh no. That's a lot.
So, it was a lot, and I'm like, "It's not that hard to put, like, just a number." Like, I get wanting to name your own chapters.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, cool, but let's just still number them because if you're someone who does do audiobooks
Mhm.
and physical books at the same time, it was really hard for me to find my place, without getting spoilers if I accidentally open up to a page I shouldn't be looking at, you know?
Right.
So, that was just, like, a really small little thing that I was just like, it would made it easier to read if maybe there was chapter numbers,
Yeah.
but that's just something I was just like, Why did anyone approve of this?"
That's one of those things that's, like, really interesting because I have the physical copy, but I also read it on my Kindle, and my Kindle and my
Mhm,
Audible are connected. So if I listen on
mhm.
Audible, it will
Oh, that's
automatically
cool.
yeah, it will automatically sync up
Oh.
to my Kindle, and when I open
Uh-huh.
my Kindle, it'll automatically put me on the chapter that I left off on Audible. So that's something that, like, I didn't even think about, but that's such a good point. If you're a person that doesn't have or if I had listened to it on another audio platform or anything like that, it
Mhm.
wouldn't have synced up, and that would have been, like I would have been irritated about that, so I feel that. That's a
Dude,
really, really good
yeah.
point. I know a lot of people that read and listen to books now because it's just I wanna read all the time, and sometimes I
Yeah.
do stuff while I'm, like, I can't just sit around and read
Mhm.
all day as much as I freaking love to. So, audiobooks make that more
Mhm.
accessible and make that really great for me, but if I was struggling with something like that, it irritates me when the audiobook is, like, 1 chapter off because of it'll start
Yes.
with the introduction, and then
Happened.
it'll be 1 chapter off, but at least I can figure that out, but to have the same chapter named the same thing, and then there's no label other than that, yeah, that's something that would really frustrate me. Hopefully, she fixes that for the next book, and yeah, that's
I hope so.
mm,
I just don't get how her editing team did not
yeah,
think about that because I've never read a book that's done that, ever.
really good point. It's just, like, one of those things I'm trying to think back in the day, like, if I've ever read a book that was named every chapter. It's also a lot of work to name every single chapter. I feel like that's a lot of
Mhm.
work in and of itself, but yeah, it just makes sense. Even if you name it, you still number it too, so people can, like, figure out where they are. Because who's gonna just remember a bunch of names? It makes it really, really difficult. So, yeah, anyways, interesting.
Anyway,
Yeah,
that was just something that really made the book hard to read, like, literally hard to read.
yeah. No, that makes so much sense, and that's
Oh my
something that I've never
gosh,
even really thought of. One big thing that I did wanna talk about or mention is that the spice was a little bit like, I don't know, I wasn't necessarily here for the spice like that. Now, I will say I'm probably more talking about the spice between Oro and Isla.
yeah, this book is not spicy, y'all, okay? It's
Stop.
1 pepper, if not
I'll give
it's
it
YA.
2 peppers. I'll give it 2 peppers because they do more than kids, but it is not it mm, it is like and I don't even necessarily care about that. I'm fine with a book not being spicy, but I feel like it tried to be spicy, which is what made me a little bit kinda like, I said, Isla begging for to be touched and to have sex basically with Oro is like a no for me. I don't want to see, listen, I know I keep saying like a woman shouldn't beg, see a man beg either. Nobody should have to beg to be loved or to be touched like by the person that they're supposed to be in a relationship with. Like it goes both ways. If you're begging for it, then there's a communication barrier there and we should talk about it. We need to figure out what's going on because that's not really a great thing in a relationship. Like it doesn't matter. Don't beg your partner. Little like
Unless they want you to. No,
thing because yeah, if that's your thing,
definitely a thing.
then that's totally fine. But if it's just like I really want to be touched by you and I'm begging, I don't know. It just made me feel like uncomfortable is not even the word. It just made me feel sad for Isla. And I'm like, Oro, give her the D, bro. What is going on? Why is she like, please touch me, please, blah, blah, blah. Dude, like this is making me uncomfortable. So maybe that's what the whole, like, when I say that the spice was like, because I didn't really care for it. And then also with Grimm and them, I will say that the spice a little bit later was fine because it came after a little bit of a buildup in an establishment of a relationship. I felt that way in the first book. There was one teeny tiny little spicy scene and it just came out of nowhere. And I was like, dude, these people, I'm not invested in this relationship enough for there to be spice right now. I don't know. I don't know. And it's weird coming from me because trust me, I read books where people that don't even know each other just start, but it's just different. I don't know. It's a different vibe. Maybe it's because it's YA. It was making me a little bit
Mhm.
like I could have done without it. Let me just put it like that. I could have been fine without that. So very interesting perspective for me because normally I'm all about the spice. Give me 5 chili peppers. Give me all the chili peppers, but not in this situation for some reason. So curious about where we're going to go forward now that we know that Isla and Graham are married and they're like, in my eyes, they're going to be together in the next book. So maybe if there's spice in there, I'll be okay with it like a little bit more. But I'm not reading this book for spice. Let me just put it like,
Okay, so moving on to some of our favorite moments
mhm.
of the book. Like I said earlier, Grimm definitely was throwing out some lines.
Yeah.
There was some moments I was like, "Oh my god," about one of them being this is why I was excited about reading this book too, because the author kept hyping it up on TikTok, and I'm like, "Okay," because the "Who Did This to You" is one of my favorite
Mhm.
tropes ever, and the scene where he's like, "Who did this to you?" She doesn't answer, and he's like, "Fine, all of them."
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, that was a
I was
really
like,
good
"Oh my
scene.
god."
Yeah.
Oh god, it was so good.
It wasn't even a
I was like, "Okay,
hesitation. He was just like,
I'll kill everyone then." Like,
"You don't wanna tell me
"Okay."
who did it? That's fine." Ooh. Yeah.
Fucking loved it.
Yeah,
I
that was
loved
good.
it.
I will say that the "Who Did This to You" was a little on the money, like, it was literally "Who did this to you?" But also didn't Oro say
Mhm.
yeah, so
He did that in the first part of Nightbane.
mhm, yeah, so they both
Yeah.
had a good "Who did this to you" moment, but, yeah, that when he just was like, "Oh, you don't wanna answer me? That's fine, like, they can all die." I was like, "Ooh, he's bad in a good way." I was here for that.
I was here for Grimm's moments. Also, when she goes to I think it was some type of ball or something in the
Oh,
nightshade
yeah.
world, whatever. And she is trying to seduce this guy, and they go out into the hallway, and she's making out with him. Grim interrupts them, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And he ends up stabbing him
Mhm,
because he saw that he put a drug in her drink.
mhm.
Oh my god, I was just like, he just stabbed him immediately.
No
I was like,
questions
"Oh,
asked. He was like,
okay." I was living for that too.
yeah,
'Cause,
no.
yeah, if you drug someone's drink,
Yeah, he was like,
where's
Not
Grim?"
my girl." Literally, not my girl. Yeah, I was here for it. We love a morally gray,
Protective?
protective,
Yes, overly protective.
overly
Was it
protective.
like a moment where he was, like, watching her sleep or something? And I was like, "This is Twilight."
Probably.
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure this happened in that
I
book.
don't remember if it was this book, but I think maybe it was because I feel like I remember you texting me or messaging me on Storygraph, but yeah, no, I was just like,
I'm pretty sure it was this book because
yeah.
I was like,
You're like, "Edward?" Has
One of my
Edward
favorite scenes from
has
Twilight.
Edward entered the chat? What's happening? Does a amazing vampire want to crawl through my window, watch me sleep, and protect me from other vampires that I don't know I need protecting from only because you exist? Yeah, we love it. We're here for it.
Yeah, totally cool if you, like, cut off my car battery
Yeah,
again.
it's totally fine.
But
Totally fine.
Chloe erased my memory. Totally cool.
No. Oh
This
God. No, I can't. I can't. But still, yeah, it's totally fine. I'm here for it. I love you.
that's
It's the
cool.
way that I'm gonna end up loving Grimm in the next book. I already pretty much love
I love
him.
Grimm.
I'm gonna forget about all the bad shit he
Yeah.
did and just be like Team Grimm.
I'm definitely team Grimm.
Yeah, of the two, we didn't really have a choice, did we? If you're Team Oro, why? If you're Team Oro, just tell me why. Please explain it to me.
Dude, on Alex Aster's TikTok videos, there's a lot of people being like, "I love Oro. I'm team Oro." And I'm like,
He is a good guy. I'll give it to him. He's a good
"He's a
guy.
nice guy.
A
He's like
nice
the
guy.
easy choice."
But we don't like the easy choice around here. We like a
Yeah.
little bit of questionable morals with our side of Shadow Daddy.
Like a guy who's gonna stab someone for trying to drug me.
Literally, please just end them. Don't even give me a chance to make a decision because I'm too nice. So just please take care of me. Yeah, get out of the car and fucking growl at the people.
I love that scene from Twilight. It's some of my favorites.
Sorry, guys. Everything comes back to Twilight in the end. It's so funny. Twilight and fucking ACOTAR. But yeah, no, Grimm did really have some good moments, some good little banter. I will say, still probably not the best banter I've ever read, but it's good. It's up there. Giving what it needed to give, especially for me to have a vested interest in this relationship. Yeah, he says some good stuff. I talked about it a little bit earlier, but there was a few really good moments. The Terra fight with Isla, I really did the imagery of that. It was really well done. Seeing Terra use the wildling powers to her best ability and really pushing Isla to the point where she was ready to use her nightshade powers, which she had been warned not to use. And that was like the moment that she fucked up. I still don't like Terra, but that was a good scene. Like I said, the lady, the giant serpent lady who ends up coming to her side in the end, that was good. The whole scene where she goes on the journey to get Lynx, I really liked that. As you just discussed, obviously, Grimm hurting literally anybody who hurts Isla without a second thought, hesitation. I'm here for that. And then, yeah, the final moments where we get the reveal of the death pact and basically just get your hands off my wife. Ah, that was a good way. That was a
Dude,
good way to end it.
when I read that, I was like, "What?" I, like, looked up, I was like, "What do you
Literally.
mean?" So I was like, this whole time, we're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on,
Right.
and he's just like, "My wife." I was like,
I was like, "Oh, shit." I think even me, it was right before I had to work, and I literally was listening to it on my drive, and I got to that part right as I was pulling into the parking lot, and I was just like, "I have to go in. I can't finish this. I only have 2
"Oh
minutes left. I
god."
have to go in. Oh my God." I was reeling from that reveal. So I thought that was really good. And the way she did it, obviously. I love when it's like a line. I love when they don't just tell you, it's like part of the like dialogue or like part of the story or whatever. It's not just, oh, by the way, these people are husband and wife. It's such a dramatic, get your hand, my wife. And you're just like, did he just say
Yeah.
what I think he
I
said?
was I was like, "Oh, now I get why he is so obsessed with getting her back."
Yeah, the stakes just went up, bro. Yeah, that was
Oh,
good.
fucking Oro, you need to give up. Give up. Please stop. They're married. Ugh.
Also, just that's another thing that's like, did Oro know? Is that why he didn't want to touch her? I don't know because I'm just like,
I don't know, but like, if he knew, I would have so many issues with that. That wouldn't make
it doesn't.
sense.
I don't think he did because he looked shocked at that part too. Like he's shocked by that news too.
Yeah.
But it just
That
doesn't
just
make
wouldn't make
sense.
sense.
And then also me thinking to myself, like, why would Grimm do this? Why would you send your wife into a situation, erase her memory, and send her to literally go be with another man? Like, you just don't care? I don't know.
I don't know
It's the
either.
way I would have told
I
her immediately, like, as soon as she broke the curses or whatever, I'd have been like, "Hey, by the way, we're married. I need you to come
mhm.
back with me." I know that obviously that wouldn't have made the book be what it was, but it's just I don't get the motivation on either side.
Me either. I don't know. I'm holding out for the 3rd book. I hope it's better. I do want the love triangle to go away, to be honest. I don't think it's going to go away in the
Oh,
3rd book.
Hope so.
But I am okay if it did because at this point, I wanna read about Grimm. I think Oro needs to move on. I wanna also read more about Cleo and Azul. I'm curious to see if they get to see their loved one to pass since they're going into the old world portal.
Mhm.
We'll see. I hope we get more of them in the next book because 'cause they're what's making it for me.
No, me too. They're definitely some of my more favorite characters.
But anyway, I'm sure other people can relate that this book was really all over the place. With that being said, before the 3rd book comes out, I'm going to probably reread the first 2 books just so I can remember more
Mhm.
because even right now, I read this book 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I'm having a hard time remembering what happens because it just wasn't very it didn't stick with me.
Yeah.
And I wanna remember more before I go into the 3rd book, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna do that.
That's
And
fair.
maybe I'll catch more things. We'll who knows?
That's definitely fair.
But
Yeah, there's parts of this book that stuck with me, and then parts of this book that, like, I'm scrounging the depths of my mind to try to remember what was going on or, like, the details about it. I will say it's very
yeah.
heavy. Originally, I had the world building as something that I really loved about the book, and I still do think that. It's a very interesting world, and there's definitely, like, a lot of potential about the way that the world works and the stuff that's going on. But I just realized talking about it today that I'm left a little bit more confused maybe than I even was going into
Mhm.
it, which I didn't really realize that until we started talking about it. So this might be something that I re-listen to, reread right before the next book comes out. I do hope that a lot even more questions get answered in the next book. That is a thing with any series or saga or long multiple book thing where sometimes you have to hold out and be like, some of this could be the author setting it up for my questions to get answered at a later time. So I'm trying
Mhm.
to give a little bit of benefit of the doubt. So we'll see. But overall, I did enjoy this. I wasn't mad that I read it by any means. It was good. There was a few really good moments. Again, like I said earlier in the episode, she definitely knows how to write an ending that keeps you engaged and makes you be like, dude, what's going to happen next? So I can appreciate that. And yeah, we will be reading the next book. We will be talking about it on the pod, whether it gets better from here or not. Highly recommend reading it. Pay attention. I really didn't realize how confused I was about a lot of stuff until just like right now. If you guys have any questions, comments, thoughts, if you've read the book, obviously, again, if you've made it this far, you most likely have. Those of you who have read the book, please feel free to tell us anything in the comments to fill in the gaps or help us with any of this stuff. If you have any additional information or questions yourself that you want answered or you want to talk about, let us know down below or go over to one of our posts on social media, Instagram or TikTok, and let us know there. We love to talk to you guys about stuff like this. It's a really good time. So, with that being said, we do hope that you guys enjoyed this episode on Nightbane. It was a little all over the place, but we had a good time. Next week, we will be talking about our thoughts on A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. So, if you haven't already read that and you want to listen or hear what we thought about that, join us next week. Email or DM us any other romantasy books or series that you guys would want us to cover. We will be getting back into the ACOTAR universe, starting with Wings and Ruin. If you guys want us to do any bonus episodes or you guys have any ideas for us in the future, if we decide to take another break after we finish Rings and Ruin, please email us in the email that's in the description below or DM us over on Instagram and let us know. Take some time to check out some of our other episodes. Not all of them are like this. We have deep dives on ACOTAR. We have different reviews. Finally, again, if you are still with us and you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening, please give us a review and rate the podcast. And either way, make sure to share us with your big bookish friends and give us a follow over on our socials. We love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. And as always, we want to leave you with a quote. So, when you've seen something truly beautiful, everything else starts to look painfully ordinary. All right. Bye, guys.
No.